Just a quick side note for any listeners that might have little ones around. These are conversations that are targeted for adults. They're happening between adults. There is some potential for adult subject matter or adult language. Keep that in mind. This is hardly an R-rated podcast, so please don't feel like you have to go down into your basement and hide under a blanket to listen, but it might be something you want to be mindful of if you've got a little one in a car seat. Hello, this is Danielle Ireland with Don't Cut Your Own Bangs, and we made it. We did it. We have crossed the finish line. This is the concluding episode, the final episode of season 1. We did it. We made it. We're here. I'm floored. I'm amazed. I'm beyond words. And that's maybe troubling considering that this is a podcast and it's all audio. So I should probably find some words. But needless to say, my heart is just bursting with just joy and gratitude that this is a thing. We made a thing. And the fact that you're listening, you've helped me create this thing and share it with the world. And I just cannot be more appreciative and also incredibly proud to share this special episode. So before I introduce the guest, I'd like to share why I decided to include this episode. This is the very, very first recording I ever did, my first attempt at an interview, so it's rough. We were also drinking wine, which I've come to find is probably not the best practice when you're trying to have a meaningful conversation, at least not if you want it to be like cogent and coherent and all those other great adjectives. But yeah, that's what it was. And you might call this my Act 2, Scene 1, because it's the very, 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 very beginning of my messy middle and figuring my way through this whole podcast journey. But it also happens to be with my favorite person on the planet, my husband, David Dellen. Not only is he an incredibly gifted and talented businessman, he has a philanthropic heart, a generous spirit, and he's been told he's an old soul. I think sometimes that's just code for sometimes he gets a little serious. But in this episode, you get to see, I think, some of the best of him when he's just lighthearted and joyful and silly and playful. And that's definitely what he was here. He's an incredible guest. And I want to interview him again to really highlight him properly because he was doing more of, you might even say he was interviewing me more than I was interviewing him, probably because he could tell that I was nervous and he was trying to help me out. But you get a great taste of who he is as a human. And you'll also probably get a more intimate look at what my life is like on a day-to-day. Because there's a lot of husbandly and wifely banter. You also hear there is a mistake that I make in the episode. I can't remember where it is exactly, so this will be a fun little Easter egg for you to find. There is a mistake where I say that I said one thing, he corrects me, I told him that he heard it wrong, and it turns out he was correct. So what a great way to live your life, folks. This is my advice to all married couples. Record every conversation. That way you have evidence when someone's wrong. Just a little nugget of final pearl of wisdom from me to you. Just record every conversation you ever have, and then you always have evidence. We'll just call this Exhibit A, that I was wrong. And this is just a really incredibly fun conversation. And I hope you enjoy ending with where I began on this journey and enjoy learning and listening and laughing with David and I. Part of this means I do have to find music, so maybe you could sing my intro music.
This is my wife. It's your podcast.
It's really good life. And
I'm pretty sure that would suck, but yours would be lovely. Mine would be. Whatever you need, positive attitude.
It's funny how you talk with someone every day, but then you put a microphone in front of them and headphones that make them look like a giant bug, and all of a sudden it's like,
I thought you were about to say giant butt. And it would just as easy, equally applicable, unfortunately. It's a pretty big butt.
I don't know how to start this. So my thought was to kind of start getting you to talk about TV first, since I know you like talking about TV.
What typically you're supposed to do is to say, okay.
Let me introduce you. Hey world. This is Danielle, Ireland, Dellen, which probably it'll just be Danielle, Ireland on the podcast.
Keep going.
Record scratches. And welcome to the first attempt at Don't Cut Your Own Bangs. I know.
It's kind of cool.
I know, right? This is the launch of dreams. Look out, Oprah, here she comes. Yeah, don't cut your own bangs. I'll cut in an intro of what this is actually going to be about.
Let's me interview you on this one. What is your let's talk about it, because
you're hijacking my show, babe.
I understand that, but I'm going to be interviewing, you're going to be interviewee. So what was your inspiration for the term, the title, Don't Cut Your Own Bangs?
Oh my God, I'm so glad you asked. What a well-thought, well-crafted question.
I'm pretty good at this. Go ahead.
Shut up.
Maybe I should be.
No. Maybe you can be my occasional co-host. What was that up from South Park? My DJ co-host, Ralphie.
That was Parks and Recreation.
That's what I said.
I think you said South Park. My bad.
Well, the record will show when we.
Yeah, the record will see. I don't know if I like this. Okay, keep going.
Anyway, we should record our whole lives. Oh my God, reality show. Okay. So what inspired the podcast, or the name? The podcast name was honestly inspired by just my friend Lindsay and I were laughing about like embarrassing childhood moments and embarrassing childhood stories. And a lot of mine involved my hair, because I kind of had Hermione Granger hair in but the first Harry Potter movie, Hermione Granger hair,
she was really awkward.
Just that untamed, wild, mane kind of just puff hair. And I really tried to model hairstyles based off of people that had maybe a third of the amount of hair I did and naturally really smooth. And so when I would try to either cut my own bangs or try to style my hair stick straight, it just, when I was resisting my natural state, it was always disastrous. So, just started laughing with friends about embarrassing moments. And what was fun about sharing it wasn't just the sharing, which can feel good too, but it was also, I don't know, just being able to laugh about it. It wasn't like we were laughing at being bullied. We weren't laughing at traumatic events, but just sort of laughing in that shared human experience of feeling awkward and not feeling good enough. And being able to connect with people that way, it just, I don't know, it warmed my heart. And I thought, why not record these conversations?
Like a warm blanket. Lovely. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's a really cool concept, especially kind of
Thanks.
Sharing in other people's, I don't know, those are the typical those stories you can look back and say, well, we'll laugh about this one day. Not
exactly.
now.
Exactly. Right. My fear was that this would turn into let's laugh at, people being teased and made fun of. And that's not it. You have to tread this fine line between what can we laugh about safely and what turns into laughter, laugh crying, or so you have to kind of tread that lightly.
Mm-hmm. So do you plan on, in this case, is it going to be more, would you say female guests, or is this going to be just about anybody? I know but your focus is much more trying to be more on the female side of things.
I love how you say female.
It is not male.
I am going to use the appropriate term, and I am going to be correct, and I'm not going to step on a landmine and say anything that could be anything other than...
Let's just all say the words that we need to say.
No, why don't we not say?
You sure? We talked about this. We were talking about words that you can say and cannot say. And I believe the only one that I have to say in this particular podcast.
No.
You sure?
I don't know what you're about to say, and I'm scared.
Shirt.
That has nothing to do with being female.
It has nothing to do with the show. That's the best part.
So if anyone ever listens to this, let's just assume that I have listeners. Let's just be very assumptive and say, oh my gosh, this is wildly, massively successful. And anyone listening. So we were having a conversation prior to deciding we were going to try to test record this. This is, by the way, our Saturday date night. Put him to work, ladies.
Yeah, we don't go to fine dining. We don't go clubbing. We do podcasts.
Oh, gosh. Well, yeah. This is real. It's sexy.
So finish the story about sharting.
Oh yeah. So I don't know. I was trying to think of a word I wouldn't want him to say, and I was like, you can't say shark. He was like, why not? It's hilarious. I'm like, oh God.
Literally is awesome.
It took you less than 2 minutes to say the one thing I asked you to not say?
Describes our relationship.
Okay. Let me turn the tables on you here.
Okay, that's fine.
Who's doing the interviewing? That would be me.
If you're turning the tables asking a question, it was me, but okay, we can do you now.
The record will show. Did that comment make sense? We think it didn't. Okay, so anyway, I want to start with a little warm-up question. So let's talk about your favorite childhood movies and TV shows. Like what would you say? And the thing is, like, I already think I know some of these, but
Well, then you guess. What are they?
well, no, this isn't a game show. This isn't like the dating game. But tell me, like, if you had a show that just really, really encapsulated your childhood.
We watched The Simpsons. That honestly,
I knew it.
I know.
I knew you were going to say that.
Well, it's because it was meant to be the model dysfunctional family that you had.
Oh God, sorry, Dellen family. This is so embarrassing.
No, I know. But you've got the mom that's always trying to make sure everybody's okay and taking care of food cooked and all that stuff, and the dad that just doesn't quite seem to get things right, and the troublemaking son, the bookworm sister, and then the baby that somehow just nearly skates dying just about every damn episode.
So which one were you?
I always wanted to be Bart, but I more empathized with Lisa, unfortunately.
You did, didn't you?
Unfortunately, and I didn't like it. I did not like it because Lisa was honestly my least favorite character, but...
oh man, one day I'm going to be awesome like Bart. I'm going to skateboard and cause trouble.
I skateboarded once when I was a teenager and it did not end well.
Oh my God, babe. I didn't either. I could never get the other foot off the ground. I would just scoot with the one foot on the board.
Okay, I got better than that.
Hey!
It's not a competition.
But I win.
But no, Simpsons was great. We didn't get to watch South Park. I know we love that show now, but I didn't get to watch South Park as a kid, especially. It was extremely, and still is very adult. Movies, I know we rented Hook that one time. Okay, so for the listeners, what's funny is that you watch a movie as a child and you are like, absolutely, every time Hook came on TBS, it was like, oh, stop what you're doing. We're turning on Hook and we're watching it through the entire way through. Didn't matter what part, you always just started from there, you watch it, and it made it into a good Sunday. It was like, Hook is on TBS, it's going to be a good Sunday. And when we bought it on iTunes, to then see that it got a Rotten Tomatoes of like 40%, which is my end all to be all.
Live by Rotten Tomatoes.
And it is yet to lead me wrong.
There are some movies that Rotten Tomatoes, it's like, it's 80%. And you're like, no, this is 100% A+ movie, Rotten Tomatoes.
Maybe one.
Yeah.
I'm more thinking in the other direction that somebody said it was Rotten Tomatoes was high. But then we also found that Rotten Tomatoes was owned by one of the film companies or something like that. Yeah.
Scandal.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's
Rotten Tomatoes, you have a bias. You've just been outed.
They need to be your next guest. But,
just not a person, just Rotten Tomatoes.
But anyway, the point being is that the Rotten Tomatoes Hook gave him such a crappy rating. And then when you watch it through as an adult, you're like, now I see why. It was great, but it was also corny.
Like that little girl singing the song with the Julia Roberts Tinkerbell.
How does it go again?
I just remember it was very breathy.
I don't remember how it goes.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Not alone. Oh my God.
Slightly on pitch, but then yeah. Slightly on pitch and then slightly off pitch, all at the same time.
But they all thought she was so adorable.
What amazed me in that movie, and I know Robin Williams obviously will always be in a warm place in our hearts, but Dustin Hoffman, I could never get in my mind that was him.
Yeah.
Until the wig came off and the mustache, and that you just saw me like, okay, that's Dustin Hoffman. But until that happened, I had no clue it was him. But no, I loved Hook.
What about Goonies? Were you a Goonies fan?
My older brother liked it a lot more than I did. It was a good movie. Don't get me wrong. I did like it after the time that I saw it, but that was like late 80s, wasn't it? And he would have been 8 or 9 when that came out. I was only like 3 or 4.
Well, let's go back to Simpsons, since that was the one that really just kind of carried you through. What was it about that show that you connected to? Because you have alcoholic dad and all of his friends are alcoholics, and alcoholic
fathers.
I know.
But I think that was an indirect thing. I never really connected with us by any means. It was honestly, It was the humor. It was this, and they even have an episode on the South Park about it. On the South
Simpsons
Park.
did it.
The Simpsons did
on
it
the South Park
on the Facebook. They did episodes that were about that because Simpsons covered just about everything. But some of the first 10 seasons were some of the best. I mean, And then you look back, it's tough to watch. Like, I don't know, as soon to be parents one of these days, if they were like, Dad, what did you watch as a child? And I'd be like, here's The Simpsons. And like, would I be okay with them watching Itchy and Scratchy kill each other when they're 10 or 12 like I did when I was a kid?
Well, so think about, like The Simpsons and then Married with Children. Like,
I watched some of that, but
Married with Children was like almost like the real life, like the real life version of Simpsons. Like it, and somehow like the country loved it. It was really it was kind of messed up. Like when I was in grad school, we took an episode of Married with Children to dissect in terms of like mental health. That was your
bias? Like what you guys use as an example?
Yeah. We talked about like family dynamics and the way that, you have like an over-sexualized daughter, and then you have, just all of the dysfunction in the family, and
Married with Children. That's interesting.
Yeah. But you could also argue the same with Simpsons. You could probably even say that with Family Guy if you really wanted to dissect it.
Is it funny to see he's now went from Al Bundy into being the dad on
Modern Family?
Yeah. It's very much of a change, but no, Simpsons was a great show. They did a really good job with the writing, and I know Conan O'Brien was on it for a while as far as the writing goes.
Do you have a favorite episode?
Ooh, that's a tough.
I want you to think long and hard, and let's let it be completely silent on the podcast while you think. I can't do it.
I know. Probably one of my favorite one was the Itchy and Scratchy Land, because they made it seem like it was Jurassic Park. And then one of the funniest things was like when Bart goes into the convenience store, right? One of the convenience shops, like they just do it like Disney World. You can go in there and get like a license plate with your name on it. Then he goes like B B B A A A B B B. It goes down to Bart, and there's no Bart. There's a Bort, Bort, and all of a sudden they make fun of it the entire episode. Like the mom's like, Bort, look, they have your name tag, and like he's like, what the hell? Where's Bart? And then by the end of the episode, they're like, attention, stocking people, we are out of Bort license plates just to screw with them. But they made it just about that. And of course, Itchy and Scratchy Land was being ran over by robots, and they end up trying to take over. And it's very much like Jurassic Park. But I remember we went to Universal Studios in LA, and they had the Simpsons ride there. Yeah. I did it, 3 times?
Yeah, you sure did.
It was honestly my favorite place because it brought back all such great memories.
You could also get Duff beer. Really, actually, it was pretty great.
I'm pretty sure it was like Line and Google or something like that, but it's pretty darn good.
I feel like the Duff beer made me really angry, though, by the time I realized that Harry Potter Land wasn't opened yet when we went.
That was bullshit.
It was
I wanted my butterbeer. I wanted my butterbeer.
Did we just go to Universal to drink beer?
Maybe. There's that. So what's next on the list?
You can't just tell. You can't. I have to lead into the next question. You're ruining it.
We're going to take a quick break for station identification. Thank you for listening to National Public Radio, and we appreciate your contribution. We hope you will continue to donate to the Don't Cut Your Bangs Foundation. Appreciate you coming.
So annoying.
It is now 9:30. Thank you.
So I want to jump into the through line. What connects the shape? That's our dog scratching herself in her leash.
Appropriately.
Yeah, appropriately. She's looking over like, what, guys? So yeah, don't cut your own bangs. At some point we need to cover, I don't know, like a childhood story that shaped you and molded you into the steely-eyed man you are today. Mm-hmm. And let's make sure to preface this with an event or a story that you've processed. And she's got to find her spot, and she's settled.
The queen has found her throne. That's a solid good question.
A solid good? Is that like jolly good?
Jolly good.
Solid good.
Jolly good, yeah. That framed me who I am today.
And that's probably just an overloaded question.
It is a very big question.
Or is there like a childhood story that happened to you that you just think is funny?
Well, I can't think of anyone that's particularly as funny.
I think I had more fun laughing at you, so I can name like 5.
Sure.
What about that one time?
I will say this is that I always, as you know, I never had a girlfriend until I was 18. So I picture myself as like, I was the guy through most of my life until I met you. I think I still kind of am now after the fact. I was always every girl's best friend, but I also saw like it they even make movies about this. I'm pretty sure like
I have news for you.
I've always just thought
You sure
it. God. Yes. Not only did you ruin my joke that I was trying to make, but you brought up the word. And I don't even hate that word, but it was just the one thing I asked you not to say.
I was telling a story, and then you had an interview. What do you have to say? So I go back to my story.
You interrupted me
With sharding. America agrees with me.
Tell your America. Yeah, America.
America's on the other end of this microphone.
I hope America's listening. I hope they are. They get to see another side of you.
Okay. Well, what were you going to say?
I don't remember.
You don't?
Let the record show. I don't remember.
Okay. Point being, as far as what shaped me is that I always saw what guys were doing to girls wrong. And they're like, you see how much they're assholes about different stuff, or they say the wrong thing, or they choose the wrong stuff over their partner. I mean, granted, we were young at the time, so it wasn't like these are your life partners.
Did you have a partner at 18? You would have introduced your girlfriend as a partner.
No.
This is my partner.
No. But funny. But that said, the idea of these, guys always doing stupid stuff, and the girls would come to me, and it would always be like, "David, you just understand me, blah blah blah. Thanks for being such a good friend."
No, I bet it happened a lot. They're like, "Oh, David, you just understand me," and then hand gently touches me.
Nope, never.
You just get me.
I wasn't as good looking as I am today.
Whoa, someone's feeling pretty good about that.
I'm sorry, I'm like 30 pounds lighter than I was in high school. I was huge.
Oh, you pulled a Guardians of the Galaxy.
I love Chris Pratt for that exact reason. So, but no, that's definitely something that I feel like shaped me, and to see
what CrossFit or that story.
No, not CrossFit. It's more just shaped me because I have that ability to, I guess, understand people and understand what they're going through, and in this case, it helped me as far as being a better, I believe, a partner to you, to be able to understand, I don't know, the pitfalls of the typical man. Yeah. Because we do so many stupid things.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, a bunch of idiots. That's what we are. But
idiots.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that's what I would say for me has shaped me for who I am today. I still am making mistakes almost daily, but that's okay.
Was there a girl that you were friends with that you wanted to be more than friends with?
Oh, sure.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, that was high school for me. Like I told you, I didn't date anybody until I was almost out of high school.
You insensitive bitch.
I can't say shark, but you can say bitch.
Listen, it's my podcast.
It is true. Okay, but anyway, I always liked girls. I can probably name at least 4 or 5 different girls from the time of grade school all the way through high school that I liked that never liked me back.
Oh,
that's okay.
Oh my God, so I've got a good story to chime in.
You got like one guy.
No. God, are you kidding me? No one I had crushes on me back in high school. But there was one. And because of Facebook and social media, I feel like if I say the name, somehow I'm also assuming that anyone will listen to this. But
his name's John Smith. Tell me about John.
No, well, but I remember I was asked to sing the national anthem. The national anthem at a high school basketball game. I'm pretty sure it was my senior year.
Did you forget the words?
No. Well, God, let me just talk through it. Well, I'll piece it together as I go. So, didn't Christina Aguilera also mess up the words too?
They all do.
And she like scat catted it. She was like, glare.
I think it might have been Fergie who did that.
Oh, I don't know.
Fergie did it too at the NBA All-Star game. So keep going. So what did you do?
Yeah. So no, So I was the lead in the High School Musical, Oklahoma, Surrey with a fringe on top.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly think I let the fame and the allure of being the lead in the musical kind of get to my head, because when I was asked to sing the national anthem, I remember my first thought was something along something really cocky, like, well, that makes sense. I mean, who else are they going to ask? I mean, I'm
arrogant.
I know I was, but
this is our nation's song.
I'm pretty sure, but that was my, I got very cavalier. I was like, yeah, I mean, who isn't going to know the national anthem?
Mm.
So I remember I don't remember how the exact timeline of when I was asked to when I did sing. Let's just say it's 2 weeks. I did not really practice until a couple days before.
Mm.
And because I'm like, well, I'm not going to forget that. I mean, how are you've been singing that since, since first grade. Good.
Yeah.
So I start practicing, and then I realize this is a hard song.
Uh-huh.
And I remember asking a friend at the time, Simone, if she would sing it with me, because I thought, well, if we sing it together at the same time, because she was a strong singer, I don't know if she still sings, but if we sang together, that our voices would carry, and it would just sound like better. And actually, so we practiced it a couple times together, and we killed it. It was amazing.
So why didn't you bring her out on stage?
I did. No. So there's more.
Oh.
So it sounded so good when we sang together that then that king arrogance came back in, and I was like, Simone, why don't we just break up the parts that we sing? Like, I'll sing a verse, you sing a verse, I'll sing a verse. And because in my mind, I was like, well, when we sang together, we sounded amazing. When we sing individually, it'll be like that times a million.
Uh-huh. And
so it's the day of the game. I don't think I had gone to a single high school basketball game in my entire high school career. I know. but I'm there, and we're handed the microphone. And I think I even overcomplicated. I think I changed what we sang like 30 minutes before we walked out. Like, we were in the school practicing, and I was like, okay, we'll sing together, and then I'll sing a part, then you sing a part, then we'll sing together, then I'll sing a part, then you'll just let me, and then we'll have like a ring of fire and a Bengal tiger will hop out, and it's going to be a laser light show. Like, God, I made it so complicated. But we started singing, and we started great because we were singing together. But I remember my voice broke, like it cracked at whatever part I was singing, and I wish I could think of what that moment was. And it was one of those, like, not only did my voice crack, but it didn't recover. It wasn't like a it was like a like it just kept getting
that bad.
It just kept getting worse and worse. And I think at the very end, Simone kind of came back in with me, and we ended strong. But the worst part was that the guy that I was crushing on that week was sitting.
That week?
Yeah, I mean, it skipped around. Listen, he was my true love for those 7 days. I was very
hormonal, David.
So my dad's like on one knee, like video camera, like zoomed in, trying to record this magical moment. And the guy that I was crushing on was like, I swear, right in front of me. It would have been a Tina Fey Mean Girl high school movie, like perfect moment. And so he sees the whole thing. And so I kind of like shrink inside, and I start walking back up through the stands, and you could just see the look on all the parents, because it was all the parents at the game. And it was like they felt so bad for me. They couldn't look at me. It was like that scene in like Game of Thrones where it's like, shame, should have practiced, you arrogant whore, shame. And I was like, I'm sorry.
Nobody remembers
that. Well, probably not. But what I remember too, it humbled me for sure, because I think this was like a week or two before the musical came out, like before we performed the musical, and you bet your bottom dollar I worked my fanny off.
You practiced.
Oh, I mean, yeah, hopefully like more than that week before, but oh my God. It was crippling. It was crippling. Yeah.
That's happened to me before.
Your voice cracked?
Not my voice cracked. I did a charity thing, and it was like one of those philanthropy things in college for Farmhouse. And when I was
one of those philanthropy, when you're helping the kids or somewhat.
When I was playing in Elliott Hall of Music in front of like 3,000 people, and I forgot the words to the song.
Oh no! What'd you do? Watermelon.
No, I actually brought the lyrics up with me, and they were sitting on the ground, and I had to stop and look down at them. I went back on and played. And the problem was, even the guys up front in the front row were from like another fraternity, were like trying to screw with me while I was singing.
Oh, you got taunted?
I got taunted, and then when I was done with it, I grabbed my guitar and I looked down at them and I mouthed "fuck you."
I bet you did.
Yeah, I was so pissed. It was all right. I mean, it's one of those things. I for like a solid couple of years, I kept thinking, what if I did this song, or what if I did that? Well, now that I can do ballroom dancing, what if I done ballroom?
Yeah, that
would have been interesting, but no.
Well, that's awful.
And those are another one of those things like, okay, who remembers it, who thinks of it, and stuff like that. But
the takeaway, though, for sure, I think the takeaway for me for sure was that your successes come and go, just like your failures come and go. But God, there's nothing worse than bombing when you know you didn't give it your all. Like when you don't do your best, like when you don't do well, but you put Like you've left it all out on the field. You just laid it all out on the dance floor.
You can
like,
accept that.
yeah, you can accept. I think those are, I don't even consider those failures really, but those are like the I don't know, the hard knocks that are a little bit easier to kind of pick yourself back up from. But I think I was more embarrassed and ashamed of mine because I didn't. And I remember, like, God, I remember being asked, and that little cocky ass, like 17-year-old mind was like, yeah, that totally makes sense. Yeah. And I did not have that level of confidence or arrogance throughout any other time in high school that I can recall. But it was like getting picked as the lead in this musical went straight to my head like a drug.
Yeah. No, I just realized what I was supposed to play. I was supposed to sing Jack and Diane. And then in the middle of it, I forgot it.
Little birdie, birdie.
The part where he's like, "Let me slip over the Bobby Brooks, let me do what I please," and I'm like, okay. And then that part I forgot.
I don't even understand what you just said.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm sitting right here.
Yeah, don't remember the lyrics. I forget it. And the thing was, a week. I probably only practiced this. Keep in mind, one, I've never sang and played before anyone, so I decided to do it in front of 3,000 people.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, wrong decision. It's a great time. And
3,000 people, no less.
Yes, and then the other problem was before then, I was trying to be able to play the piano, which I can, but not very well, and sing. I was trying to sing a song that I had no business doing, so it did not work well. So
what do you think you learned from that? Was there anything you learned from that?
I after hearing you talk about it out loud, it makes sense. I don't feel like I put my best foot forward. I didn't give it my all. I really didn't try as hard as I should have, and it came out the other end crappily. So it makes sense. But when you give it all, I sharded it so much. But yeah, no, there's that. And, you're going to make mistakes, and it's also that element of what do you care about, what's important. It makes sense to you about that type of stuff. So, it still is a part of my mind, and it's still one of those like little regrets, maybe like your buffoonery kicking in, but that's not the end of the world.
Wow, buffoonery.
Maybe it's wrong use of the word. I don't know.
I don't know. I liked it. I mean, I believe it. Let the record show that we will look up buffoonery later on. Okay, I'm sorry.
You keep doing this let the record show thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this is the first conversation we've had that's recorded. So like when we try to correct each other. You
like the fact that we can record this and go back and find out whether it was right or it was wrong.
I love it.
This will not be used in any disputes when it comes to our.
We're going to record our entire lives from this point on. Everything we do will be recorded.
I had half a mind wondering whether or not you've been recording our conversations since we started doing
Oh, no. I mean, I get where you're kind of going with that joke, but no, the evidence would have been thrusted in your face so many times at this point if I had evidence to prove you wrong. Like, no, David, you said this. Listen to this recording.
If the court reporter read back. No, that's not the case.
Oh, my gosh. Well, moving on. So clearly I'm going to have to work on transitions. So moving forward.
Vis-a-vis.
Beep, bop, boop, bop, boop, boop, boop. Transition. Dun, dun. Oh, this is where we can put in transition music.
But when Squarespace starts sponsoring you, then all you get stuff like that.
You were so far ahead of where I actually am. We have -0 followers. There's nothing as -0. We have no followers.
If you had people,
our dogs are asleep. We do have negative followers.
Well, if it was 0 followers, it's one thing. But if it's negative, that means you'd have to have like people out there telling people not to follow, so they were about to follow, but then they go the other direction.
Did I just tell you an embarrassing story? Don't make it worse. Like,
no, I'm just saying, but I don't think that's going to happen. You're not going to have negative
Rotten
followers.
Tomatoes is going to hear about this and be like, "Oh, that bitch."
I don't think Rotten Tomatoes does podcasts, sweetheart. So you're good to go.
There's going to be a ranking system at some. It'll be like Rotten Zucchinis or something.
Totally relatable.
Rotten eggplants.
Yeah, totally. Rotten eggs, man.
Ew.
It doesn't rotten eggs.
Anyway, well, I do want to actually like transition though, and I need to work on figuring out how to do that. But as I'm learning, and this is on the job learning, one of the things that really impresses me about you, not only as a husband and a man and a lover and all these incredible things that I
just going into podcast after dark.
hours. No. But one of the things that really truly does, it's always impressed me about you is your work ethic and just your dedication to meeting challenges and how you don't ever shy away from a challenge. And when you go in, like you kind of dive in head first, which that's not actually a good diving technique. If anyone's listening, like kids, please don't dive in head first, like extend your arms, protect your head. You only have one. But the more you know.
Because knowledge is power.
But
we go on with the accolades.
Yeah, so you were saying about me? Yes.
Uh-huh.
Well, one thing I'm curious about though is because our listeners, I need to be careful. I'm jumping around like viewers, followers, listeners. This is a podcast. Just something I'm curious what you struggle with today when it comes to kind of meeting the challenges of the day. Like you're successful, you own 2 businesses, you're involved in multiple organizations, you're a big brother in the Big Brother, Big Sister program. You don't just donate money, you donate time, not even donating time, but you find ways to be of service. You're obviously a very active participant in you're really engaged with your friends and your family. You're playing on my podcast on a Saturday night. So
can you speak about like eulogy or something like that for my funeral? This is
getting to listen.
This is pretty good.
I love you.
I love you too.
We're fucking married, David.
Yeah.
God, way to make this about you.
Okay, thank you.
I was already talking about you, and somehow it's more about you.
I know.
But
That's awesome.
But I am curious though, like what do you struggle with?
The thing that probably popped into my head as soon as you were saying that stuff is one, feeling like I'm a success at all. When you said that you're successful and stuff like that, it's feeling like a success. There's so many other people out there saying things aren't good enough, or that things aren't going fast enough, or this doesn't look a certain way, and it's you kind of hit the nail on the head. We were at dinner last night. We were talking about enough people that will send in reviews or send in feedback and stuff like that. And when it's your business, you take it personally. You do, and as much as you can, try and make sure it doesn't hurt you. It does take a little nick out of you. And you have to kind of find a way to let it heal and move on, and possibly learn from some stuff. But the hardest part is honestly probably not letting people get to you, or knowing you're not going to be able to keep everybody happy. And if you're not happy, then no one, anyone else is going to be happy. So yeah, okay, to try to summarize what you just said. So you struggle with the idea that maybe customers or people don't feel like you're doing enough for them. And yeah, it's a being that we represent a national company that's on the New York Stock Exchange. They're always wanting more, and they're always we've got to do more for our stockholders. We got to sell more bikes and all this other stuff. And there's sometimes when you look like this month was a really good. It was a good month by numbers, but by units, it's not enough for Harley. So I'm going to hear about it and say, well, why didn't you hit these numbers? And blah blah blah. And it's you really ever can you just sit back and say that was good and let's enjoy it. There's a term in sales, it's hero to zero as soon as you go straight into that next month, and it's tough to enjoy it because of that. It's going to be really, really tough to really try and celebrate, because once you celebrate, we still got to keep going. The race never ends, and that's probably the biggest part.
I think some of what I'm hearing you say too is that you mentioned like feeling like a success. You struggle with feeling like you're a success. And it sounds like if you're dealing with customer complaints, and then you have, stockholders and franchisees, or the people who are like in the higher ups of the franchise, I think maybe defining what your measure of success is. I mean, it sounds like you're struggling with finding where your definition of success is with other people's definitions of success, because Harley Corporate expects this much from you to be considered a success. Your customers, each very individual, want to feel X, Y, and Z, see X, Y, and Z, experience X, Y, and Z, to feel like their experience was successful with you. And then you have your employees and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So maybe then like trying to figure out like what probably a lot of people could connect with is, how do I feel like I'm doing enough when everyone else has their own idea of what enough is for me?
Yeah. I agree with that. And I think as many other books and podcasts I've been listening to, the one that I need to get back on is that one that's the subtle art of not giving a fuck. and it's even like I said, it's only been 2 chapters in, but it really just, even in there, he describes just trying to figure out what's important. It's not to just say no to everything, but it's also trying to figure out what's your priority. But for the sake of, is it a priority to keep Harley happy? Is it a priority to keep your customers happy? Is their happiness more important than yours? Is your happiness because of their happiness? All of those are big questions. And for me, that is a very good question, is what does success look like? Because that's in the world of business and sales and stuff, like you're always looking about trying to beat your times for the year prior, doing this and doing that. My goal, I always tell people when we're talking with customers or any of my managers, it's, increase our business. We're trying to do better each time. We're doing a little bit better, even if it's not necessarily numbers, it can be processes, but happy customers, and you just move on. If it's good business, it's good processes. And you also got to make sure you don't neglect your employees, because your employees are upset and they're not happy, then your customers are. But for me, I would say, success is a tough thing for me to define for myself.
So it's one of those, it's kind of like almost like when we're carrying a lot of stress and we have a lot of stress, maybe we have a lot of anxiety and we don't maybe recognize or feel how stressed we are until it kind of dissipates, until it goes down. What I would imagine is maybe hard for you to define what success exactly is for you at this moment. You also probably know what it feels like when you hit it. When you hit a success, you're like, oh yeah, that was everything aligned, everything worked exactly the way that it should. So can you give me an example of, do you have a Rolodex of successes? You're like, oh, that moment was sweet. I loved everything about it.
Sure. I mean, I think I don't, and I've tried to believe in the idea of luck, but I think a lot of things just somehow naturally fall in place. And sometimes they're not supposed to naturally fall in place, and sometimes you're supposed to fail, and sometimes you're supposed to have things that just don't work. But I mean, I could just even take recent things of new hires and new people we're getting in, and I'm just like, had we done this, we could have gone in so much different direction. I mean, there's so many different roads you can turn. And the funny thing is sometimes things will positively happen, and I'm like, how the heck did that just happen? I mean, and you don't feel like you're deserving of that, or like you man, that was lucky, or that should have, that there was no way that was supposed to happen, kind of thing. And then it does, and you're like, man, that was really, really cool. But and then that thing that crosses your mind is, was that because of something I did, or is it because of just naturally the world and divine intervention and everything happened for that exact moment? It's really tough to try and all encompass it, but I would definitely say the successes that we've had. And as a business owner, you typically end up looking at the numbers more than anything, but it is also nice to try and take little small victories. Maybe the numbers aren't what they would want them to be, but you can take a victory of, like I said, a new hire, or someone learning a process, or even sometimes the things that happen outside the business for people. I mean, we've had some people that have gone through cancer. We've had people that have had kids that have, all this other stuff like that, which can be important. And if you continually just sit there and ride them like they're, all that matters is the numbers that they produce, then they're going to feel like they're $1.
Sure.
And that's going to be a tough part too. So I do find, I would say, maybe it's not success, but happiness when I do see other employees enjoying themselves in their job. I mean, they can pick, if they're with me 40 hours a week and they're asleep, hopefully 7 to 8 hours a day, they only get so many coherent hours of the day, and they might or might not be with their kids. They might or not be with their loved ones. They have to spend the majority of their coherent time with me or with my business. So it's a big job to make sure that they're as well taken care of as possible. Man, she's snoring.
Let's sweetheart. That was so beautiful. Sydney, wake up, Sydney.
That's gonna last for like 20 seconds, right? Yeah, that's okay. She looks adorable. But
well, it sounds like maybe based on like the positive examples you have, or the other things that matter to you, is that the people that are around you feeling happy and having their needs met and enjoying working with you. And you can almost even distill that down even further to just being liked, liking where you are, liking what you're doing, having people like the work that you do.
True.
Which really does circle around. I mean, that's a nice full circle moment as far as just talking about struggling with being a youth and moving through life, feeling insecure, not feeling like you're enough. I mean,
that's why to segue to the youth thing, and that's why I like the Big Brother program so much. That even being able to show them what they can learn from a positive influence, and what being an adult and all that other stuff. But you can also, the cool thing is too, is in moments that you'll be sitting there and all of a sudden you become a kid again because you're hanging out with little kids. And for them to not lose their youth and not to also lose their, people to look up to and stuff like that. In the case of Tyler, he's just got my little brother I'm in the Big Brother program with. He's only got his mom and his sister. His sister really isn't present very much, and his mom works a lot. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have any male influences. Most of his male influence, because they're unfortunately the rap artists that he listens to, most of it are actually pretty good. We enjoy a lot of the same rap artists.
Yeah, I know. It's like you guys sing together all the time.
We do. We're pretty good at it. I normally let him do a lot of the singing, but the funniest thing was yesterday.
I think it's hilarious. It's either SpongeBob or hip hop.
No, he's gone off SpongeBob.
Lately, he is getting older.
He's still on Bruno Mars and a couple other people, but the funniest thing yesterday was when we both belted out at the same time. Hello by Adele. He gets into it. But the thing,
does he do the hands on the face?
He does, but the funniest thing was because he was getting upset because there's certain parts that were getting really high up. Mm-hmm. Like a year ago, he could do them, but he's going through puberty. His voice cracking.
Oh my goch. Okay. Let's tell me a good voice changing story. Do you have like I'm sorry, Mom?
My older brother made fun of me for it all the time when I was younger and stuff like that. And it was such an awkward time.
I'm trying to pick it back up.
No, but there wasn't anything funny about it because he made fun of me for it.
There wasn't anything funny about it at all, Danielle.
That was such an awkward time.
Tell me more.
I mean, your voice is changing. I gained probably like 20 to 30 pounds when I was in between third grade and fifth grade.
Of pure muscle.
No, I wish. I was a double striper. Sugar cream pie. I mean, I talked about this with someone yesterday. It was last night at dinner. The fact that I had bologna and cheese sandwiches, Doritos, and Chips Ahoy or Oreos. Mom, if you're listening, there's nothing nutritious about that. It was carbohydrates.
You're blaming you're like, everyone did everything wrong and I was perfect.
Life is never my fault.
Typical middle child.
I am not in any way in control of what's going
on. I'm a victim of circumstance.
That's true.
They force-fed me Doritos. They force-fed me.
Oh, Cool Ranch. So delicious. Double stuffed Oreos, dipping them in milk. Back when I drank milk. Oh.
I know. Now we're a nut milk family.
Oh, man.
So funny. Nut milk.
That even sounds dirty.
I know. Bringing it back to the after hours special.
Oh, Lord. Oh, man.
So another thing I'm curious about, because you're a busy man, you're a man of the world, you're running businesses, you're, just signing checks and high-fiving babies or whatever you do. I don't know.
I wish people hearing this could see her.
So I do a lot of hand gestures. I do a lot of hand gestures. One day we'll turn this into a YouTube. I said everything needs to be recorded. Our whole lives need to be recorded from this point forward. But I'm curious about how does your relationship with technology influence or affect what you do with work?
Honestly, I wish we didn't have technology. I wish I was lying.
What?
I do. I really think it makes...
He's kidding, podcast listeners, because the fact that you have technology enables you to listen to this podcast.
90% of technology.
Other than podcasts.
I absolutely love podcasts. I love books on tape, audiobooks from iTunes and stuff like that. But
let the record show that he doesn't.
No, I mean, it a lot of the things that there's such a... And we talked about this heavily, is the amount of, interaction with people, lessons, it's becoming a generational gap for millennials and younger because the fact that they're on their phones, everything has to be communicated via text message, Snapchat, Instagram.
I want to know about your relationship with technology. Don't give me a lesson.
It's love or hate. Love and hate.
Oh, damn.
Love or hate. I either love it or I hate it. I absolutely love streaming TV because it's all of the great shows and videos and other stuff like that.
Right.
But then I hate the fact that as a business owner, there are so many things. I mean, for anybody, especially even if you just work for the business, how involved you have to be in your phone. I mean, if your clients are emailing you or they text you or leaving you reviews or commenting on Facebook or commenting on an Instagram, or if they're sharing you or sending you a snap, you have to have that. And people expect turnouts. They literally on Facebook will show on the messaging board to the other side of the customer. When you send a message on Facebook, how responsive that person is. So I get rated on how quick I'm responsive. And right now it's...
Oh, wow. That would up some anxiety.
Luckily, it says 100% in less than 1 minute response. Yeah.
Good God. Well, that's affecting our marriage, customers. So,
Yes, exactly.
David, get off your phone. I have to have 100% response rate.
it's tough, but
Yeah.
you push through it, and that's the part that I hate. I do love being able to connect with people. I do love being able to, I sent a message to the person who hired me when I lived in Australia my year after Purdue, and sent her a message and said, "Hey, hope you're doing well." And she remembered me. So it's kind of cool to be able to connect on that route. Other than that, I wish there wasn't as much technology.
Yeah.
I think it definitely puts a void between people.
Like this microphone between us.
Emails, and we've talked about this before too, is the number of people that will send emails, including myself, and I've had to train myself ever since your tutelage of
guys, I'm really wise. That's why
she's really freaking smart, people.
You should really listen to my podcast. I'm super freaking smart.
I'm sure you're going to be like on episode 155 when you come back to this. You're like, I wonder what it was first like. It was like, oh, this is so cool, seeing her in her first elements. But when you go back to listening to her book, when she talks about how much she loves her husband, now you'll know why.
No, so far we probably have done a lot of ums, uhs, and uhs. You've heard our dog snore.
Yep.
You probably hear us knocking on the table because I haven't figured out how to dampen the sound, and we're slurping wine. I mean, we're killing it. We're just killing it.
We need to be like Tim Ferriss and that other dude that were just getting.
Yeah, and that first episode was like 2.5 hours long.
Oh, I don't know if I could talk for 2.5 hours.
I mean, we're already doing well. We're already at 49 minutes and 25, 26, 27. Okay, so your relationship with technology is a love-hate relationship. I can respect that.
It's good.
Okay, next question. If you could be, let me ask it. If you could be any animal, what would it be and why?
Listeners, this is a typical relationship question.
No, this is the first time I've ever said it, David.
Bullshit.
Bullshart.
Bullshit. Good one. Okay, that's why I love her. If I could be an animal, I know you want to go underwater. If that's your thing. But
okay, I guess I need to pick something that would work in the water for married in this animal.
Honestly, that's not even the direction I was going. I want to fly.
Ooh.
Yeah, I want to fly.
I can fly.
Not R. Kelly fly. Like, I'm going to piss on you, R. Kelly.
Yeah. Well, that's worse than shark. New rule.
I know.
God, you can't talk about that.
Sorry.
I'm going to piss on you.
Listeners, that is a allude to the Chappelle show, making fun of R. Kelly.
Oh, God.
I'm trapped in the closet.
And my favorite Chappelle joke, I think, so far is, you know what's crazy? I've always been this talented.
Yeah, you need to watch that. If you guys are listening, want to go to Netflix.
We're not plugging other shows. Listen, I don't have any sponsors
If
yet.
Chappelle shows up on the show, that's great.
If Chappelle's going to listen to Don't Cut Your Own Bangs, I highly doubt that. But I hope so. Fingers crossed, everyone.
Mr. Chappelle, if you're listening.
Mr. Chappelle.
Yeah. Good sir. Kind sir. Thank you.
Can you just answer your question? You want to fly. How do you want to fly? Are you a dragonfly? What are you?
I was always fascinated just because the idea as a child with a peregrine falcon, because they're like the fastest freaking bird ever. I'm pretty sure they're most fastest. Yes, that wine's kicking in, people.
Oh, God.
But yeah, no, they can go, God, they had like where they could, the speed was, I thought, something absolutely stupid.
Don't mess up, right? We're going to have National Geographic and like all kinds of people that could corroborate your lie. Let the record show.
Peregrine falcon. Let's see. Holy shnikes.
We're literally listening to you Google on your phone right now.
Seriously, as an adult, guess how fast I can go?
As an adult?
Yeah.
I don't how old is an adult falcon?
I don't know. Pretty freaking old. How fast do you think I can go?
65 miles an hour.
Faster.
85 miles an hour.
Faster.
Shut up. Nuh-uh.
Keep going.
Just say it.
240 miles an hour.
Nuh-uh.
Google me that, Batman.
No. Okay, so you want to be the fastest falcon in the world?
Freaking A.
I don't know why that just doesn't seem like your animal to me, but I'll go with it. I would have been like koala bear.
When I was a kid and I heard about the idea of a peregrine falcon, I was like, that is bad.
But you also love Australia and you're cuddly like a koala. I feel like you're more like...
You hold the freaking phone. If you could be one animal, what would it be? That was my question on what I wanted to be, not what you picture me.
Listen, don't cut your own bangs. No. We answer questions for other people all the time. I don't have a format yet, but I think that'll be the format.
Do you? Pretty sure this isn't a show about others. It's, David, we're going to have a weekly podcast on Saturday night.
Yes. Oh my God.
And we're going to talk about your feelings, David. Get those things out.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you any
And then I'm
repressed
going to
memories.
squash them like a bug.
Sexy.
Oh God. After hours.
I was just going to go to my office meeting and everything.
That's a Jim Gaffigan reference that we're butchering, by the way, if anybody's interested in knowing what we're quoting. So much of our relationship revolves around quotes. That's the clunk of a wine bottle getting set on a table. Okay, so that is your animal. You would be a falcon. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. The
How about
fastest.
you?
No, fine. You're going to flip it around on me.
It's a conversation. This isn't an interview.
I'm interviewing you.
Are you?
I don't know.
I feel like all of life's in it.
Okay, don't go into Forrest Gump. I already see the face. Don't. David. Okay, I got another question.
That's so sad. I need to watch that movie. It's a damn good movie.
Listen, this is becoming the ADD podcast where we can't.
If you listen to podcasts, that's all they do.
That's true. That's true. And for our listeners who are ADD, we support you.
Mm-hmm. Fight the good fight, people.
Hashtag validated. Hashtag blessed. Hashtag humble.
Humble.
Hashtag.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you could have a billboard, because we watched that movie, the 3 billboards outside of something. If you could have, it was a really good movie. I can't remember.
So good you can remember the title.
3 billboards outside of Academy Award-winning film.
Yeah.
If you stop knocking the table, I'm messing up the sound.
I know.
If you could have a billboard, what would it say? And I'm not going to lie, I straight up ripped this question from Tim Ferriss's podcast when he interviewed Jack Cornfield. But I thought it was a really good question. So, what would your billboard say? Got milk?
No. I mean, I don't know. Something to the effect of, turn the person to your left and say, hey, I love you. I don't know. Something positive.
Unless you're in a car, then you might.
Yeah, it might get weird, but, or on a bus. But I just feel like there's just so much. Every 5 minutes, there's some report about Trump doing something stupid. And then the next second, they're trying to push the stuff out there to divert for something that's an even bigger news story that, doesn't get covered. So much shit. I mean, the days of when we were kids, those are the kind of things that I just long for. The reason why I think I love The Simpsons even to this day.
You sound like such an old man.
I know, because it was the show and the time that it was when we were kids.
It was a simpler time.
It was. but I mean, seriously, it was a simpler time. And but then
generation thinks
that. I know. Everybody thinks that. But
your billboard would say, turn to the person to your left and say hi.
Hey, I love you.
Oh my God. You know what? Oh, okay. So you're the theme song to your billboard. Oh, you're upset that I interrupted your story.
No.
Viewers, he looks really upset.
Viewers? They're not viewing. They're listening.
I did it again. Listeners. Podcast listeners. I'm new to this format.
Yes, listeners. I was talking. But in this case, the billboard would be to encourage people to be nice to each other. Let's just say that.
That's cute.
Yeah.
I was just going to do that. Is that Tracy Chapman song? I said, hey. Oh, wait. Is that Melissa Etheridge? What's going on? Who's that?
That's neither one of them. I don't remember the girl who it is, but it's like, it's probably, honestly, it's one of those songs you hear at a bar that you can't help but singing.
Yeah.
But a song that as soon as it comes on the radio, you're like, fuck that.
Well, that's
I'm
like
not
every
listening.
Journey song. You're out at a bar and you got a beer in your hand. You're going to sing along to Journey.
Is
But
it?
when you're in your car, okay, when's the last time we listened to Journey in the car?
Wheel in the Sky.
No, don't rattle off titles of songs.
I love the Journey.
I love the Journey.
It's philosophical and it's
Listen, if we were in a
musical
live
also.
show and someone played Journey, I'd be like, oh, hell yeah. But I'm not jamming a Journey in my car unless I've got a car full of people and we're all going to sing
Do you
along.
have something wrong with America? Do you have some?
Wow.
Journey is America's apple pie,
You
especially with the
just-
Filipino lead singer now.
Listen, we accept all singers. We accept all singers here on this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
All right, great. Well, I feel like I learned a lot about you, and
Did you?
I feel like the listeners are going to. I'm only realizing now probably how much I'm going to have to listen to my laugh when I listen back to this. And how
Well, I mean, let's analyze.
No.
So, no, I mean, seriously. So, as far as the podcast goes,
Mhm.
typically how they go, they're Thanks for joining us on this today's podcast where we're going to talk about this, this, and this. And first off, let me introduce my guest. You know him as so-and-so, and blah, blah, blah.
You know him as the Harley dealer you love to hate.
That's pretty good, actually. But yeah, this is David. Hey, how's it going? How are we doing, David? No, not too bad. Blah, 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 blah. And also with me on the guest is blah, 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 blah. It's like, and today's sponsor is so-and-so.
Today's sponsor is Black Station Cabernet Sauvignon.
When I'm really feeling down in the dumps, I go for Black Station Cabernet. But they may have a tagline.
We're not down in the dumps, and I'm doing a dump. Do you do a dump, or how you have a dump? Make a dump. How do you use that in a sentence?
You take a dump.
Oh, damn it! Take a dump.
Straight out of the hills of Zamora, California, come the Black Station.
The hills of Zamora.
It's the hills of Zamora, Zamora, California.
God, wouldn't that be a terrible place? Zamora.
It sounds so.
Unless I have listeners there. If I have listeners,
this sounds like something that you would find in the land of Nod or something.
I was just about to say that.
Totally.
That's why I married you.
So Zamora, California, vinted. I didn't know
you can't read a wine bottle, folks.
It says vinted. I never heard the word vinted before.
Well, I don't know what that means.
Neither do I. Vinted and bottled. 2016 Black Station Cabernet Sauvignon. But you can do your different, your sponsors, and then you can go back and forth. But what they do, it's cool thing about like how does this get made? You'll be mid conversation, they can stop and then go back and forth. I listen to it. It's a really good format.
I feel like this has now become you teaching me about podcasts on a podcast. This is like the inception
within
of
a podcast. Within a podcast.
Dun 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 dun.
If I die in this podcast, will I die in the other podcast?
That's why you have to fall from a great height.
The podcast in here for every 10 seconds. How long is it in the other one?
And then South Park's episode of no, that's not. No, that's not Inception. That's the other Christopher Nolan movie where he's in space. Yeah,
they do it in both.
They do.
Yeah,
Christopher Nolan loves fucking up.
Just remember by the end of the Inception movie how the guy he was in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. All of a sudden he's like old and crepity by the end of it, and Leo looks normal.
Right,
because he's been in the dream that long.
Right. Time is relative, people. So this is the moral of the story. Time is relative.
It's true, but seriously, was he in a dream at the end of that movie?
Was he what?
Was he in a dream at the end of that movie?
He just slurred his words.
No, I did. He spun the top, and then you don't get to see if it stops. Was he in a dream or not? Because that was whether or not he was relevant.
Who's the guy who played
Michael
Alfred?
Caine?
Yeah, Michael Caine. So Michael Caine admitted on a
Sir Michael Caine.
Oh God. Yeah. Yes. Let's not forget the important.
He was knighted. That's kind of a big deal.
Shh! Stop interrupting.
I think you get invited
David,
to like the Playboy Mansion via Queen Elizabeth. She has her own Playboy Mansion.
If anyone is still listening at this point, you are heroic. You are wonderful. You're majestic.
And they're waiting for your answer.
You're a majestic unicorn flower. What was the answer to what?
We were talking about Michael Caine, and we were talking about Inception. Yeah, you said whether or not Michael Caine was talking about the fact that he...
No, he gave away the end of the plot, so they weren't in a dream. They weren't in a dream.
I don't like that. I like the idea of telling whether it was or it wasn't.
I'm sorry, Sir Michael Caine ruined it. You could Google it, but Google it later.
He was also Austin Powers' dad. I love that movie. Gold member.
Right. The show isn't called Shows David Likes. This is
It might as well be. Why can't it be, really?
Oh my God. You just literally checked your phone in the middle of
You told me to put it on Do Not Disturb. It didn't ring, did it?
David, can you not? He just lamely flipped his phone over.
For viewers.
For any viewers.
I did it on purpose. Did you notice how I didn't say viewers? I said for viewers.
Oh, you made it comically loud?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, good. Well, thank you for listening. This has been a delight. What a delight. Now we're doing an impression of Will Ferrell's impression.
James Lipton. Yes, inside the extra studio.
Yeah, so the maiden voyage of Don't Cut Your Own Bangs. Stay tuned for so many other shenanigans and life lessons and good times. And this was a blast.
Wasn't it though?
Thank you, husband.
No problem, wifey.
You're great. You were a great guest. You might have to do this again with me sometime. That's what she said.
I honestly wouldn't have any problem with being a sidekick while you interview other people. It would be fun.
Aww.
No, seriously, I love talking, and this, you know that. And at this point, it's fun. So
it is fun at this point. I wasn't sure until now, but at this point,
but I really do think wine needs to be involved.
I think so too.
But the problem is, the only thing I will end on this, and this will be my last comment, I promise.
It's never his last comment.
But okay, we're an hour and 5 minutes into this podcast. I didn't really start feeling this.
You didn't start fart?
I didn't start farting and feeling this until I didn't shart this way until like 20 minutes ago. I was not legitimately not sharting until 20 minutes ago.
Well, hopefully you're doing more talking than drinking if you're on the podcast. But I think there's a fine line between being delightfully bubbly buzzed and
don't cut your bangs while you're drunk.
No.
I know.
But I like where your head's at. Keep thinking great ideas.
And on that note. No, I think you're a fabulous guest and would be a wonderful co-host that I would love to have on my podcast every episode. But you have to make sure you tell everyone David's not with us today because he's off, in the safari. He can't be joining with us. He's off in the safari.
I don't know what that was, but I should also state, since the title of the podcast is "Don't Cut Your Own Bangs," and a lot of it had to do based on like hair, like really embarrassing hair stories of mine, that my husband has a shaved head. It'll make it ironic as hell. Is it ironic? That's like ironic, like 10,000 spoons when all you need is a knife.
I'm meeting the man in my dreams, and then meeting his beautiful wife.
Oh my God, we need to stop. Hey.
It's like rain.
This is the never-ending podcast now. So we need
that should be your outro music. Can you call Alanis?
Alanis. Is it Alanis or Alanis?
I don't know. She's Canadian. You can go either way.
Manure. Manure.
Yeah, sorry. For viewers, Manure. There was a Canadian man that we met, and he said not manure. It was
not manure.
Manure. Sorry. Now I'm saying it like I'm a Canuck. Oh, man.
All right, guys, this is never going to end because he's tipsy, but
it's true.
This has been great. And if you are still listening, this is outstanding. And thank you for your attention and time. I hope we entertained you while you either worked out on the elliptical or were riding in your car. Mm-hmm. And there probably needs to be some preface that, we use adult language on this. So I probably need to set up a little warning at the beginning, like, hey, FYI, don't have this, in your car if you've got kids in it. So anyway.
Too fucking late now.
And that's my husband. Thanks so much for listening. Bye.